Students of Success, Dr. Mike here. Hey, today I wanted to go over a couple things that a video watcher put in the comments. And somebody put in there, they said, Dr. Mike, you talk about overcoming all of these things in your life. Can you give us some examples of some things that you overcame that kind of allowed you to get to this point to be able to, what makes you credible in giving this advice? So I thought about it, and I have multiple, but I just wanted to share three of them with you that most people could have devastated, and it did at the time with me. But I developed a certain mindset, and I didn't realize that there was a process. But now when I look back at it, I was actually going through that process, but I didn't understand. So what I want to do is give you three things that I kind of went through that were the low points and devastation, and how I recovered from them. But then I want to share with you over the next 4 or 5 days, slowly, a process of how you can do that in your life right now, maybe before things even get to that basement level, whenever things bottom out for you. So the first thing, we'll talk about education. And this, I believe that anybody can accomplish anything in their life if they put their mind to it and they believe that they can. And really, 99% of the population has the ability. It's just that they're lazy. Laziness is one of the biggest issues. And this came down to education with me. When I was in high school, I went to a big high school of about nearly 700 students graduating in my class. I gave absolutely zero effort. My belief system was that I was one of those stupid kids. I was one of those people that couldn't learn. When I looked at everybody else, I was like, they were gifted, they were born that way, that's why they do so well, and I'm just me. My parents didn't go to college. That's my pathway of my life. So by the time I graduated, and I didn't realize it that I was lazy, I fell into that trap of belief, and I talk about belief a lot. I believed that I could not do it. So when I graduated, out of 700 students, I was like student number 635. So 634 students graduated ahead of me. The ones that were below me were probably people that couldn't even read and write. I believed I was stupid. I never applied myself throughout the entire process. Then when I went on to, all my friends were going to college. So I applied to all the colleges, got turned down on everything. My SAT score was so bad, and I will share these with you someday, just so you can see that what I'm telling you is true. It was so bad that it was almost like I just got the points just for putting my name on the paper. Everybody laughed at me, and I couldn't get into anywhere. So I ended up going to community college, and I made it through 2 years, well enough that I had a 2.5 grade point average, and I was into a lower level major of forestry and outdoor stuff that I kind of enjoyed, so I put a little bit more effort into it, but not anything that was worthy of an A or moving on, or to say that I was any type of intellectual. I got into Slippery Rock University, which was the one that I really wanted to get into to begin with, and I continued my lazy ways, and once I got there, I really started to have fun and party and do things, and I failed out of school. I was on academic probation 3 times, and once you are on academic probation 3 times, you are permanently expelled from the university. Well, guess what? After 3 times, I was permanently expelled from the university. I didn't show up for meetings with an advisor. I didn't do these things. I just kind of slip and realized, and I tried to take hard classes, and I thought I was giving effort, but I didn't have the belief. Then along came my soon-to-be, after that, wife. I met her. Luckily, I met her right at the beginning, right when this was occurring. And she was a 4.0 student coming in from high school. And she was also a, 4.0 student in college. And once we got together, I had already, I was on the verge. I wasn't on my last fail out yet. And we decided we were going to get married. We were in college. And it came to the point where I'd failed out, and I had like a nervous breakdown. I hit the very rock bottom. I mean, I'm telling you, like, everything was going bad for me in my life. I had one of my cars, a nice car I had, repossessed because I didn't have the money. I didn't believe in myself at all. I didn't believe that I could study or have an education. So after this like complete breakdown, I said, the only thing I got left is to really, try this school. So I went back, I petitioned to get in. They gave me one more chance. One more. And I come to find out they'd only given 2 people this in the university history. And I had to make a big letter and I promised this, this, and this, or I would forever be expelled from that university. Forever. So I went in, signed up for classes, had all kind of criteria. And then as I was living with my fiance at that time, my soon-to-be wife, and I started watching her. And I was, she was one of those smart kids. I was like, they don't study, they don't do anything. So I watched her every day, and I would study with her, and she would study 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And I was like, why are you doing this? I thought you were one of the smart kids. And she says, yeah, dummy, I am one of the smart kids because I actually work. I put effort into it. I was like, you do? I thought that was just something that was natural. Well, I decided, you know what, let me try this. Let me see what I could do. And as I started doing that and going on, because I knew that if I didn't get my act together, this girl was going to be leaving me because I was really becoming a loser, especially when it came to that. And there was no future, no history, nothing to look forward to in my life. There would be no life of significance if I was heading down this trail. So as I started to emulate her study habits and that, all of a sudden, I started getting A's and B's. So I made it through that first semester, and I did well. And I had like a 0.8 grade point average at that point. There were some failures I couldn't get off, so I had to retake some classes. So fast forward through it, as I started doing well and really applying myself, my mentality changed. My belief system changed. I'm like, maybe I can do this. And every time I did better in small steps, my belief grew and grew and grew and grew until in 99, I graduated, and because I was at a 3.2 grade point average, just like a percentage away from graduating with the lowest honors. After I got thrown out of school for 3 times, permanently expelled, let back in, and then I did it. Then I went on to get my master's degree, my doctoral degree. I'm working on a second doctoral degree. Not because I'm some genius, but because I started to believe in myself in applying the principles that I talk about. And all of a sudden, it was like magic. And people couldn't believe. If I go back to my high school reunion here next year, nobody would ever believe of what I've accomplished in my life. So that would be one of my first things that I would talk about. So if anybody ever tells me, this is why I'm a no excuse type person. If you ever tell me I can't do something, you know what? That's a bunch of bull. You can do anything that you want to as long as you commit to it and you have a burning desire and a belief for it. And I'll tell you how, at that point, one of the tricks that got me out of that. Second was, after I graduated, I was working at a indoor sports facility, a pretty large one. They weren't happy with the people that were running it, so the owners came to me and said, Mike, we're about bankrupt. We'd like to hire you at this certain amount of money to come in and run it for me. Well, I did it. I jumped on it. And while I was doing this, I was working on my master's degree in sports management. And over the next 7 years, I built this business that was doing about $200,000 a year into $1 million business, doing $1 million in sales in a year. At that point, they would have, whenever I took over, they would have sold the building for $800,000 with the property and everything. Well, the owner of the business, of the building and stuff, I owned the business inside at that point. I was operating it all, and I was just paying them rent, pretty hefty chunk. He was like a mentor to me, like almost like a father, like somebody I trusted in this guy so much that he was like a father figure to me, and I learned so much about business. I mean, a mentor is so important. Well, and he was a multimillionaire. One of my people looked into my stuff and everything, was kind of like my friend, and you gotta be careful. Got my paper, got my bookkeeping and stuff like that whenever I was gone one time, and turned around, put a little group together, and made them an offer on the building. What was worth $800,000, 7 years prior, they made him a $1.6 million offer to buy the building. Well, he took it. And you can't move a business that's indoors like that. I lost everything, literally everything. Everything the sweat equity that I worked at, I had multiple employees. I had tons. I was making over $100,000 a year. And at my age, we were on trips, doing this and that and everything. And he came to my office one day and said, "Mike, I'm selling the building." And I was I've never been in such shock in my life. After what I did for this guy and to bring it around. I thought he was my friend. Then have to come home and tell my wife that we lost our business. She was staying home with our kids, and she didn't have a job. She graduated, she had a degree, she was going to be a school teacher, but I wanted her to stay home and raise my kids. And that was probably one of the biggest gut punches in my entire life. I did not know where I was going to go from there. I had 30 days to get my stuff and get out of the building as they were wrapping up all of the bank stuff. I never, ever saw that coming at all. And it should have, in most situations, and my wife would tell you that would have been the one punch right there that would have ended most people. But there was a tactic that I used at that point to be able to turn it around. Luckily, I was starting to acquire different businesses. I wanted to start a rental business, and I came across a pizza shop. So owning a pizza shop was my next thing. And I was near bankruptcy. My bills in my house, I was behind my house payment by 6 months and everything. I thought I was going to have to, I had one of my cars repossessed, a nice car that I had. So basically we had nothing. Nothing. And I thought, I'm going to lose my house, my everything. I have a family to take care of. So I went into this pizza franchise that was shut down for 4 months because it was doing so bad. It's in the Slippery Rock in the college town. Well, I'm like, I did it with school. I turned that around. I turned the sports center around and went from 200,000 to a million. Well, I'm going to take this pizza shop and turn it around and make it, one of the best of 150 in the franchise. Well, in about 6 years, I did that. I became one of the biggest franchise stores, revenue generators in the business. But I was definitely not fulfilled. So people always say, go after the money. Going after the money is great, but you have to also be doing something that you truly, truly love to do. And I literally hated it. I like the business aspect of it, but the day-to-day, 7 days a week, especially now, people don't want to work. Just people showing up on the job was 90% of the victory. It was in a college town, so it was hard to find people that would be dependable, because it wasn't a career. It was a job. It was enough just to make some money for the weekend, to go out and do what you wanted to do. These weren't career people. So after about 6 years, my back, I had 5 back surgeries, and that would be another one that I would talk about at some point, but my body was just bending over and making pizzas and everything was just not there, and some people called off, and it just got overwhelming one night. And I was starting to get I got to the point where something flipped in my brain, and I just sat there. The phone was ringing, somebody was at the counter, and I was like, enough. I'm done. I made a decision, which is going to be one of the steps that I talk about. I'm selling this place. I'm moving on. I always wanted to get into education, be a college professor, and share all the 25 years of business experience that I had with other people so they could be successful as well. And in that moment, I made a decision. So now I'm telling you where I'm at now. I work for 7 different universities. I work from home. I have probably one of the best dream jobs that people can imagine. I'm able to go as I please, do this, that, whatever. But that's a whole nother story. So those were 3 things that were definitely, when I talked about the ups and downs of life, huge downs, but then massive ups. then another down, and another massive up that got me to where I'm at today. And I still have some goals of things where I want to get to that are even from here. But I'm hoping that those down ones aren't quite as big. But knowing life, there will be some that will be down that will make me go up. So what was this is the first success principle that I did at the time that I didn't really realize that I was doing, but I definitely did it. The first thing, and write this down, if you want to be successful in life, is you have got to absolutely hate your current situation. Everybody tries to tell you to look on the positive, you can do this, that's all great, but that's a different step. The first one, we have got to create contrast off the bat. If we don't know what we hate and don't want, we're not going to be able to know what we do want. So basically what we're doing is whatever your situation, let's just take health for instance. Say you are overweight, you smoke, you drink, you don't take care of yourself, you don't exercise. I want you tonight, after you take a shower, when you get out of the shower, I want you to stand there and look in the mirror for 5 minutes and just look at yourself. And nobody can tell me that they're happy with that situation. We're kidding ourselves. We're just absolutely kidding ourselves if you think that having a big, fat, nasty, flabby body that we breathe hard just walking up some steps makes us feel good. So look at that and just hate the situation that you're in. I want you to feel so bad that it makes you almost want to cry. Feel that, even if it does. Feel that how bad that you want it. And then say, enough. I'm done with this. I don't want to live this way anymore. I don't want this pain. I don't want this life. I don't want to be in this situation anymore. That's what I did in those 3 different situations. In school, when I failed, I got to the point I'm like, I hate being stupid. I hate not being able to achieve. I hate seeing all these people. I hate people looking at me and saying, you're a failure. And I took all that hate of all that stuff, that anger. It's good to get angry sometimes. Get angry at your situation. Not at you, but at the situation. Because you're not stupid. I found that out in the education. It's not you that's stupid. It's the actions that you're taking that are stupid. Hate it. In the second instance, when I had the sports center, when I was I almost went into a serious depression. And I did for a while. And then I got so angry and so mad. I'm like, enough. I hate the way I feel. I hate this. I am going to be the most successful pizza franchisee that has ever been in history. And I got pretty close to that. And then once I got into that, as I was going along and things were going well, it wasn't fulfilling me. It was draining me and it was hurting. And like I said, that one day I just got so angry, so full of rage and hate that it just it gave me bliss actually at that point, because I knew what I didn't want. And when you take all that anger and hate and just compress it all together, just feel it. Feel how bad it is. Know that you don't want that anymore. That's step 1. Knowing what you don't want to have in your life, so we can move on to the next steps on how to get what we do want. So, I gave you a little bit of a message there with some things that I changed around, and hopefully that gives me a little more credibility about all the things that I talk about all my experiences. And then I gave you the first step. When you're in a situation in your life and you're average and mediocre, and look around everybody else, don't gauge yourself by what everybody else is doing. Gauge yourself by what you want. What are your dreams? What are your dreams? Are you sitting back not accomplishing the things that you know that you could, or feeling bad for yourself, or even worse, making excuses, saying, I'm stupid. I just don't have the body type. I can't do that in my career. I can never stand up in front of people and talk. I can't. Oh, it's like a sickness and a disease. And I had that disease. But I cured myself. I didn't ask people out here to cure me. You can't expect the world to come to your rescue. Nobody's coming to your rescue. You have to rescue yourself. And when I did rescue myself, and I talk so much about it, and people say, why are you so selfish? Why are you always talking about working on yourself? Well, now, because I worked on myself, I'm able to help my kids in college. I'm able to have a nice house. I'm able to have a lake house. I'm able to have boats and cars and things like that. And that I can share with my family. Because I focused on myself and made myself better. I decided what I hated so I could go for what I wanted. So remember, there are only so many tomorrows. Find the thing in your life today that you will not accept any longer. And then join me tomorrow for the next step on how to reach our dreams. Take care, guys.